folks, good evening. This is our Nave Martin Goalie Workshop. For you that actually attended the work, to see at the end of the video, I have changed the slides ever so due to I actually deleted them. This workshop took place a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't start recording until that's my mistake. So what I'm going to do here is going to talk you through the first two slides, and then I'm going to join up with the actual recording on the night itself. Okay. Tonight we have our Goalie Workshop, and what's happened is I basically want to have a chat with our coach, see how I can help them and how can I give them ideas about within the club. And you'll see at the end of the video they actually come up with ideas themselves and how to implement a goal in the underage systems in the club. And it is a fascinating conversation as well, so don't be afraid to stay tuned and see what comes up. So what I based the presentation around is kind of off have on my own YouTube page, Goalie, where I try to break down the goalkeeper, break the goalkeeper into certain areas. Is basically in every GAA player, and also how try to break it down so that you understand what goes into a player, and once you understand what player, it becomes a hell of a lot easier to know how to coach then the player. Yeah. So that's kind of the way the session goes. Start off anyway. I done a questionnaire with 30 intercounty goals last autumn, and I asked them a couple of questions how to get on as a goalkeeper throughout the age groups. Okay, so the first question I asked, what age did you start playing as? Okay. As you can see there, I gave them the options of they were all or from under 12 up to, I suppose, adult level. But what I would out is the majority of or people would be from under 16 up. Okay, there would have been a number of people, I think, what we're looking at 2-4, probably maybe 10 of inter-county goalkeepers out of the 30 that we definitely are, about 10 or so, 12 of them actually were goalies. All okay, and the other 3/4 or half, whatever way you want to look at it, they kind of stumbled into the position, and they probably didn't goalkeepers until later on in their development at underage. It's interesting to see that they still got to the top level and they still yet they only realised they were goalkeepers. Okay. Another one I asked them was if goalie coach in your local club as a youngster, and that in Nave Martin we're having this chat tonight. As you can see there, I think two that they did receive goalie coaching underage. I'm here to address tonight and see how we can improve in that sense and give our young players every opportunity to achieve. And when I say high level, it's entirely up to the player how high. It could be just something simple as enjoying playing a goal and not really wanting to push themselves too far. You could have someone that's highly motivated that wants to get to the very top level of intercounty football. Okay, so a high percentage of them didn't get any goalkeeping coaching, and what we speak about later, soccer and how they have their act together, and a high job actually get their introduced to goalkeeping coaching while they're at their soccer and not actually with their game clubs. Okay, so that's something that we need to address also. Okay, so last year I would have tied in with Lynch tourist player model pathway, and it's something he's all it's going around the club, and it's in our session plan. Our GDA Sean Han would have introduced you to these. They're on the cards, and it's basically appropriate coaching, and I've tried to tie that into goalie is, but I suppose young goals. So here's the framework I come up with. So when I hear is I suppose, if you can look at it as a pizza, if you take slices away, your goalkeeper is not going to get to the required to, I suppose, be the best they possibly can be. So if you took the physical aspect out of that, we'll say pie chart on pizza, okay, you're not going to be able to reach the highest level they can possibly reach. You neglect these areas. One of these areas is okay, the player's progress, and you're not giving them every opportunity to succeed at the top. So in your training sessions, try and bring these pieces into play as best you can. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is as simple as I can. So your technical proficiency is the ability to perform consistently and at match tempo. Okay, so that could be something as simple as a high catch, a kick out, the standard stuff, the stuff if you were going down to watch a goal, you're most likely to see practiced. Okay, is your technical proficiency. Onto your tactical prowess, the ability to understand in-game scenarios, use the correct skills. Okay, so basically matching skill with what's actually happening then and there. There's no point taking a solo on your goal line with 3 lads tackling you. Okay, ability to understand in-game scenarios and produce the correct technical skills. Okay, how do we coach that? Okay, we coach that by game scenarios, putting the goalkeeper in scenarios and training that they're up against in matches. Okay. On to team play, the ability to perform and make right from set plays in the game. Okay, the ability to make right decisions from set plays in games. Okay, so what's a set play in a game? Is a kicker, sideline ball, 45, throw, kicks against, free. Okay, set plays game. Okay, the ability to perform them. Once again, how do we train to a goalkeeper? By exposing this goal to scenarios. Okay, you're going to put your coach and think, come up with creative ways to challenge the goalkeeper in training. Game facts, the ability to process in-game fact, relay it through communication or technical skills. Okay, championship semi-final, playing against a team that has a midfielder that's 7 foot tall and a midfielder tall. Okay, and both your midfielders are 6. Okay, and you see what's happening, and can you see the weakness in the other team? All right, or maybe he doesn't. He kicks 10 kickouts, 5 to the left, 5 to the right. Okay, the left out on top of the opposing 7-foot midfielder, he's lost all. When he kicked to the right against the 5-foot midfielder, he's won all 5 of them. Okay, can he take these in-game facts into play? And how do you train that? Bring it into training. Challenge them in the game. Manipulate the game scenario in training without telling the goal. Can he figure it out? Okay, so this could be an activity based around outfielders or certain set plays, but the goalkeeper doesn't realise that you have overloaded the field. Maybe he does. That's what we're looking for. And then on top, how do you the information back to him? More than shouting might not work. Probably doesn't work. Okay, the information has got to be accurate, positive. Okay, what do I mean? Positive and relevant. Okay, there's no point me shouting at the goalkeeper after kicking all them kickouts away. You effect. Okay, maybe it is accurate. Maybe he did kick them all away. Not positive. Relevant. Okay, it has to match. Okay, for this information on board and not feel like you're having to go with them. Okay, psychological focus, the ability to stay in the here and now and not allow the focus to leave under pressure. Okay, kicking into a wind, it's not working. His technique has gone out the window. He needs to focus on what's important now. He might have kicked 4 kickouts away. Okay, but the next one is the most So it's not what had happened previously, it's the next one. You have to focus. And that comes, I suppose, experience, okay? But once again, goalkeepers in difficult situations in training will allow them to. And then your obvious one, your physical fitness, the ability to perform movements into position and execute powerfully. Okay, so that your strength conditioning and your goalkeeper's overall physical fitness. That is the framework. That's what I would recommend for coaches to try and tap into and use this to make sure they're not neglecting any goalkeepers. Okay, so that's as far as with the recording. So I'm going to join the video to the original recording. Sorry, Ollie, for bringing it up, but Rob Henley is the one that sticks in my head where Brogan flicks it in over his head. I think it's the All-Ireland final, nearly 10 years ago now, maybe, where Brogan and the fullback is competing for the ball in the penalty spot as the high ball is dropping. And for first thing Henley done was hesitate, and then the second thing he done was chase too far out of his goals to deal with that high ball. All right, so coming from the high ball is possibly a mistake that happens a lot in GAA. I know it's happened to me once or twice where I've come for a ball late, I wasn't decisive, and it goes back to Steve Williams saying, come late, go hard. Okay, so don't go rushing underneath the ball and be caught out the lane. Now that could be split seconds we're talking about, but he always maintains come late and go hard. So if you do decide to go, you're not hesitating. You're going hell for that. You're cleaning the house basically. So you start a shot drop short where the goalie must decide to lay it off or maybe create a quick counter attack. So we see a lot of the times ball drops short into a goalkeeper's hands, drops into the bread basket. Full back is coming towards him. Okay, he's maybe 3 yards away. All right. Should the goalkeeper give that ball straight to the full back if the 5 or 10 is 30, 40 yards ahead of him in open space? Okay, so you're encouraging the goalkeeper to start counter attacks, but at the same time, it's risk and reward. Okay, let the outfielders do the outfielder stuff, but also be aware of potential counter attacks and encourage them to get involved in that. Number 3 then is 2v1. Tactical prowess again, another scenario. The goalie has to decide to face the way to close down the pass. So 2 forwards coming in on top of the goalkeeper. You usually get that scenario where a goalkeeper chases out to the player on the ball, it's popped over his head and it's palmed into the net. Okay, so does the goalkeeper close down the shot and let it be palmed over his head? It's positional sense. I know we do a lot of work with this with Loud, and I suppose over the last couple of years I know Dermot Campbell, if it ever happens, I'd be saying to him that he's going to the shot, because I know then if Dermot has that shot locked down and that forward doesn't fancy that, you know where the next ball is going, and I'm straight away able to cut it out. Where if Dermot goes to the spare player and then it's 1-on-1 between me and the player that has the ball, as I said earlier, like high percentage chances are the forward should put it in the back of the net, and the percentages are much lower on me making the save. Where if Dermot goes and closes him down and tackles him, he's going to look to play it across the goal, and then straight away I know what's happening. I'm able to close it down, and we're after taking the shot back, or the not the opportunity, but we're after taking control of the situation back again as best we can. So that's tactical prowess, and that's scenarios you can put goalkeepers in training, and that's, I'm sure he's practiced that 2v1 versus the defender. Can you speak to the goalkeeper and suss out potential options and ways to do it? So your team play, kick out activity where the goalie has multiple options. So working with the team stuff, stretch you would have been doing there with the minors at championship time. Kick out activity, challenge them. Can we challenge the goalie to see weaknesses and call a set play kick out? So if the great one I love doing and it works every time would be Wayne Campbell when he's marking Peach Calla for Clarke. Wayne runs off him. So all I have to do is stand and wait for Wayne to run, because Peach isn't able to keep up with him. And Wayne always plays well against Clarke because he wins kickouts all the time. All right, there's no point in me dropping a big high ball on top of Wayne because Peach is taller than him, and that's a weakness, and I'm not going to do that. Okay, so a weakness of the opposition player would be he's slower, and I know that. Okay, but is your goalkeepers able to see that in training? Can you put a smaller player mark a taller player in a scenario? Don't tell anybody, but let the keeper play a couple of kickouts as a normal training session, and then go into him and say, well, look, where's potential weaknesses? Okay, let him try, and once again, you're questioning, where you're letting him then decide where the weaknesses are. You're not actually telling them. Can a goalie command the area for sideline balls or 45? So that's attacking high ball again. Okay, is he comfortable? So then there, Niall, sorry, going back to that one again, is kind of touching on your point of bringing them out of shell. Okay, Steve Williams, once again, I don't know whether anyone watched it here, this year a couple of times he do high balls, but he be the one that come in on top of the goalkeeper, and he winning the fuck out of me one of the days. I wasn't expecting he just coming in. I was expecting just to put his forearm on my chest and kind of jostle me. No, he absolutely smashed me in the stomach, and he basically hammered me for the 2.5 minutes I was in there. And I started off smiling and joking, but come the end of it, I was doing my best to throw him out of the way. So it's putting me in that uncomfortable environment, because I know when I'm going to play a game, I am not going to have it as hard in a game as I did in that training session. Okay, so you're encouraging the goalkeeper to come out of the shell by, it's almost like confrontation, but example where you're challenging the goalkeeper to come out of the shell. Another one would be ball drops into his hands. Okay, the goalkeeper cannot pass the ball to anybody for 10 seconds. So straight away then the forwards are like pressing like fuck. Okay, he knows he has to be brave and be in control of this ball for 10 seconds. And I'm just making that number up. It could be 5 seconds, but after 5 seconds, you can tell him 5 seconds is up. The only thing he might be able to do is kick it out over his own end line. That's fine. That is completely fine. But you once again putting that goalkeeper in an uncomfortable position. That's not going to happen in a game where 5 or 6 forwards chase him down and hassle and harry him and make it as difficult as he possibly can. And he cannot give anything, can't give the ball to anyone or do anything with it apart from be brave and keep control. Okay, that's not going to happen in the game. What's going to happen in this game is max, you might get 2 to close you down. And then when they get too close, you can kick it over the sideline or up the line or out over the end line. Okay, so once again, you're challenging the player then to come out of the shell. Another fun activity, I'm just after thinking of it there, would be on communication, trying to get them to communicate more and communicate better. So what you got to do is put them all you can put the whole team in a line, and the goalkeeper, they basically have to blindfold them. So if they're wearing hats, pull the hat down. If they're wearing a jersey, pull the jersey up over their eyes. And the goalkeepers then so you have to tell the goalkeeper, I want all these players to be on the 45-yard line facing towards the dressing room. Now this could be just a bit of crack at the start of the training session, and they can say step. The players basically on the line can't move without the command of the goalkeeper. So then the goalkeeper you can put obstacles in the way, water balls, cones. None of the players can stand in these. So it's up to the goalkeeper then to communicate really loud, because it's a big group. They have to communicate with the players. Left, right, back, stop, go, okay, turn to your left. So everybody's eyes are closed and they're on the 45, and the goalkeeper goes, okay, face the dressing rooms. Once again, they don't know where the dressing rooms are because they're blindfolded. Okay, so then it comes down to, okay, everybody take one step to the left or turn 90 degrees anti-clockwise or something like that, that they're improving the communication and once again coming out of a shell a wee bit. Your playing facts. Can we question our goalies to make them think about the scenarios during the game? Questioning. Can we show them videos and ask them their thoughts? Okay, to come back onto a podcast I done recently there with Colin Nan. I asked him a question about bringing his Blues team up the whole way and them being successful. He said once a year he videoed one of the games. Okay, and then they had like a video session and the players were able to see themselves playing. He was able to ask questions, they were able to ask questions, and overall he said it was a fun experience and it didn't cost much every year basically. Can we train the goalie to learn positioning? Of course we can, and I am in the process of doing a video for that. It's just taking a bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but I'll give you a scenario that I'm always in at the minute. Will be full back marking full forward, centre half back marking and then everybody else in the other half of the field. All of a sudden the ball is turned over. The other team now on the counter attack, we are chasing our tails back. What they shouldn't be doing is getting in quickly, causing us problems. Okay, so straight away, should I be standing on my goal line just before they turn us over? Should I be standing on the goal line? I would say no. Reason being is I'm not involved in the game. I'm twiddling my thumbs. Your concentration levels have to be really good if that's where you're standing. Are you affecting the game by standing on your line? No, you're not. Okay, I can twiddle my thumb because they're not going to lob me from midfield or the 45. Okay, but if let's say for instance Callow drops the ball and Decky Goran picks it up and Decky's about to be closed down by Callow, but Decky has a load of space to play the ball into, and he looks up for a split second and sees me standing in the way where he wants to kick the pass. That split second could be enough for Callow to be able to turn him over. Okay, so something simple as that is useful for the team. Okay, and there's no risk involved because I can't be lobbed from where they are. Okay, the further they come down the pitch, the more I retreat to my goals. Okay, and that stuff we can know our goalies about where to stand. That's just one scenario. There's other scenarios where the ball could be in the number 10 position. The full forward is marking the full back in the edge of the square. The full forward moves left towards the end line where he does not want to receive the ball to make space to go to his right at the penalty spot. Okay, as a goalkeeper, I know that he doesn't want the ball in the corner, and if he does want the ball in the corner, that's fine. Okay, he's no danger to me there. But if he receives that ball in the penalty spot after losing the defender, we're in trouble. So if I'm anticipating that movement, now it might happen once every 2 years, okay, but that once could save you a game and win you a game or put you in a good position. How do you bring that into underage stuff? Fair, okay, but encourage them to be off the line, to be involved in the game. And look, as we said earlier on, if mistakes happen, they happen. But you've got to think of long-term development. Encourage them to cut out play and help them understand the risk versus reward factor to what they're doing. Physical fitness, okay, does our goalies need to be in peak physical condition? I'd say no. Okay, but they need to be in some sort of physical condition, in decent shape, like so. Let them get out and be involved with outfielders. What areas do they need to be strong? Okay, strong legs, strong hips if they're going to be doing a lot of kicking, strong arms. Okay, a lot of mistakes happen underage with that high ball dropping in over the goalkeeper's head. You see them reaching up to catch it. Their arms or their fingers or their hands just aren't strong enough to deal with the weight and the force of the ball coming down out of the sky. Okay. It's not because they can't catch the ball. It's because their body just isn't able to deal with the force of the ball coming down. Their body position is wrong. Their head isn't behind the ball. Okay, it's not because they can't catch the ball. Okay, and it's important that they understand that. They might think, oh, I'm rubbish at catching the ball. I can't be dealing. No, that's not the case. Okay, here's how you fix the problem. Okay, come late, go hard. Keep your head behind the ball, as if you're going to head the ball like in soccer. Okay, because if it does go through your hands, what's it going to hit? It's going to hit your head. It's not going to go into the net. Okay, it's little bits and pieces like that. Okay, and build it up over the years. Psychological focus. Last one of this is, our goalies prepared mentally for failure? Just like what I'm speaking about there. Okay, and I don't like using the word failure, but between us adults, failure is something that happens. Mistakes happen. People get onto them. Confidence drop. They disappear. They don't want to play in goals. And they start playing within themselves. And once they start doing that, you're going to have a problem to bring them back out of shells and be confident again, because all the best goalkeepers are as confident in their own ability as anyone else. How do we coach that? Constant communication and a good relationship between players and management and coaches. Okay, how can they learn to stay in the now? So I'm after kicking 3 kickouts away. Them 3 kickouts aren't important. Take the information from them. What I make sure I don't make them mistakes again. So giving them little tips like that they can say in their head, but that one last one is done and dusted. It ain't important anymore. What's important is the next one. Next one is always important. All right, so little bits and pieces like that will help them at underage to just kind of help them deal with it. Give them the tools mentally to deal with these things. Okay, another thing with Colin Alley's podcast was something he gave me, and I was an adult with Loud at the time where I was doing kickouts from right to left, and it was driving me mad. I just couldn't figure out why I was doing them, so I was ended up kicking out over the side. And even to this day, I'm still not massively comfortable kicking to my left. But he gave me like a stress ball in my hand at training just to remind me to focus that little bit more when I was kicking the ball. Okay, that stress ball wasn't going to make me kick the ball any better, but it just mentally prepared me and reminded me that I really needed to focus on what I was doing. Okay, and over time it did work, and it was something that he probably didn't understand what he was doing at the time. It was a trial and error thing, but for me it worked. Okay, so there's loads of different ways, and that's classic psychological focus. The coach getting in my head because he could see I was struggling, and he came up with a way to refocus me on the task at hand. Okay, so this here is the 28 inter-county goalies. Okay, so basically what I asked them was, how did you decide to be a goalie? So Niall Morgan, it's just interesting to see, I suppose, where they came from. So Niall Morgan got me started on teams when I was very young, for example, under 13, but playing for the under 16s. Okay, you can be sure he made so many mistakes playing under 16 as a 12 or 13-year-old. Okay, mentally prepared, it built them, made him more resilient as he got older. Okay, that's what I'm gathering from this. Okay, but he was one that was a goalkeeper from a very young age. Shane Ryan, it's a weird one really. Shane Ryan, Kerry goalkeeper. I always played outfield at my club and still do. So technically, he had all the skills. He was confident on the ball. He was good technically. I played soccer underage with a local team and they had me playing goal, so he had the best of both worlds. Okay, he was learning all the technical skills of GAA while he'd been trained as a goalkeeper, and he stayed there ever since. Rory Began played in goals for soccer and was thrown in at under 14, mixed between playing outfield and goals. So once again, he had the best of both worlds. So I would definitely encourage coaches at underage levels is get your goalkeepers playing with the outfielders. Make them learn how to play outfield. Help them understand this. It's the classic case of a lazy corner forward not chasing down the ball. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play him cornerback, and he's going to see how hard it is to play there, and he's going to want to work harder. And then you're understanding the roles and what goes into them, which makes you a player. Up until minor stuck with goals, really started to enjoy it, and I was on the county minor panel. Sean Patton, classic case. I've seen it plenty of times at my own ages, and it's not me that was carrying the weight, but most of you know I wasn't a goalkeeper underage. I always carried a bit of weight when I was a kid. Oh yeah, put the fat kid in goals. Okay, classic case. I've seen it, as I said, so many times. I was told I wouldn't get playing if I played outfield, so they stuck him in goals. Okay, not ideal, but obviously he was resilient enough to get through it, and then he once again grew into himself as he got older, and now he's potentially the best goalkeeper in Ireland at the minute. Then you have David Clarke, seemed to be drawn to it at the age of 9 early again, and he had his Peter Schmeichel that got him interested in it. Evan Comerford from Dublin, I was a soccer goalkeeper, and once again he would have got coached. Our regular keeper was missing for a club GA game and haven't played outfield since, so he would have started playing outfield for his club but ended up in goals, and once again was introduced early with the soccer. Coming for Tipperary, I think he was nominated for an All-Star this year, top class, played in goal, soccer top level, once again coached at underage level at soccer, was a minor and played me in goal. What did we say? I had the same manager for football and soccer at the time when I was a minor, so maybe he didn't play a field for Gaelic because I know as well. So, and a big lad, so maybe he did play a field under, and then played him in goals then when he got a little bit older, and won an All Ireland with Tip minor, I think it was. And then myself then would be 2 reasons. I wasn't physically developed enough for adult football when I got to 18 or 19. I was far too light to be playing at that level. And they ended up, I think the cone came in at the time, and I was messing before training, driving balls 40, 50 yards, and they were like, well, hang on, we're on to something here. Light bulb moment with Butcher Malone. And then the club didn't have a goalie. They had, I think, Barry and would have retired then around the same times. And they would have struggled for a goalkeeper, so it all seemed to fit into place to end up in goals. But the big thing that stuck with me over the years is my understanding of different positions on the field, and I understand. I would say the strongest thing I have is not the actual goalkeeping; it's the understanding of the game and understanding of my ability. So just some things I'm not good at, but I have to make up for in other ways. And I understand how forwards move because I've played there. I understand how midfielders move because I've played there. And I've had brief spells as a defender, and over time I would have learned basically how to play that position. But at the start I would have been 18, 19, I would have been very raw, not very good in goals. I would have just been an outfielder in goals, just driving balls out. So something to just think about there. So there's your end goalkeeper. So 3.5% of them would have went in net because of injuries. They couldn't play outfield anymore. A huge percentage of them there, 35% of them ended up being in net because they were soccer goalkeepers and would have been trained and looked after. 10% of them would have had role models like David Clarke there, Peter Schmeichel. As I said, I didn't put them all into that there. I would have taken some of them out. 28% of them went net because the team didn't have a goalkeeper. Okay, and 21% of them, as Niall Morgan's scenario was, he was out of the age before he would have been 13-year-old playing with the other 16s. Okay, so once again, kind of falls into the no keeper scenario. So what's 28 and almost 50% nearly of the inter-county goalkeepers only went to net because their teams didn't. And once again, going back to that point is why we're here tonight. There's no reason why we can't start developing goalkeepers a bit younger. And I'm not saying picking one lad at under 8 and he's in nets the whole way up. It's trial and error. Let everybody have a go, but try different ways in training. You see photos of Premier League like Suarez and all, and Wayne Rooney jumping in nets and training for shots. There's no reason why we can't do that in Gaelic. Okay, you're in for a shooting drill tonight. Just let him dive about the goals. You wouldn't know. You could end up absolutely loving it, or you could be absolutely brilliant. I know Shane Lennon's. He's I think he's a fullback and he's about 15. But I would have coached him. Was it the schools or something like that? And he was in nets in that scenario beforehand, and lads are whacking balls at him before training, and his reflexes were off the charts. I could not believe it. I didn't know it was Shane's nephew at the time. I went back to Shane because I knew this chap was Kilkerley, and I says, "Who is this fella?" And he goes, "Oh, it's Ronan's son." And I go, "Well, you need to get him a bit of goalkeeping coaching because his reflexes and bravery was standout. It was phenomenal." Okay, so you do get you stumble across people that could potentially be very good at it. Paul Flanagan is a classic case at my age. For any reason, his reflexes and bravery is on another level, but he didn't end up in goals because maybe he wasn't put in that scenario, maybe didn't believe in himself. I know he was certainly quite small as an underage goalkeeper, but like most goalkeepers are small for the big nets, as we call them. So as we said, failure happens, but can we prepare them to basically develop them with the mindset of 18 and plus? Can we use them then? So finishing up, you're a coach. As a team coach, how do you look after the goalie for your team? So bear in mind your scenario is you have 2 coaches, there's 30 players. Obviously you can't go and take a goalkeeper one-on-one. Okay. Little tips to try and help basically not ignore the goalkeeper. Okay, so in your warm-ups and games and training, okay, allow them to mix it up. So sometimes let them go out and warm up with the team, get loads of touches on the ball, get their heart rate up, because that's ultimately what a warm up is. Okay, let them mix it up, mix and match. Encourage them to create their own warm up. Okay, I'm going up to Joey and I'm saying, right, Joey, we're playing Clarke now Wednesday night. I want you to make up your own warm-up. I'll have the cones and footballs for you, and I want you to take me through it. Okay, so just because you're how to warm up a goalkeeper, challenge the goalkeeper to go. And YouTube is full of drills and activities. As I said there a minute ago, the aim of a warm-up is to get the heart rate up and loosen it. Okay, encourage them. They can't do wrong. All right, let them coach you. Session structure. Okay, can you challenge them in a normal session? I give loads of examples throughout this evening. Okay, that 2v1 scenario. Can you challenge them in that? Okay, that could be a backs and forwards drill, but you with your coaching hat on can be going around questioning the goalkeeper, pulling them aside and saying, right, look, how can we improve here? Why are all the goals going in? Well, because they've an extra forward. Okay, what can we do to try our best to take control of this scenario? If you can suddenly flip 10 goals that went in into 8 goals that went in and you made 2 saves, all because he's thinking about, well, then we're on to a winner. Or we put enough pressure on the forward that he kicked it wide. Okay, always challenge the goalie. Once again, then can we use a goalie coach? As we said earlier on, there's 2 of them here in this call tonight. And 3 of them including myself. Okay, so there's enough goalkeeping coaches to go round and help. Okay, but I know Dad's case there up until I suppose Niall with the minors, like he was never asked to go up and get involved. Okay, so the easy solution for him would have been sit at home and watch telly on them rainy nights. But the fact that Niall obviously knew him, reach out, he's going to all of a sudden now he's getting involved in it. So there is people like Barry Mutter's another one. There's enough goalkeeping coaches in the club. They're coaches, but they have enough experience to go up, throw a few cones out, and make the goalkeeper feel a little bit important. Okay, and I always go back to Colin Nally. His best attribute was he always managed to get inside my head. He had me, be it when I was outfielder and goals, he always had me convinced that I was the best goalkeeper in Ireland or I was the best forward in Ireland. Okay, that's his biggest skill for me, is knowing how to talk to his players. Okay, and that is so important when you're dealing with underage goalkeepers, knowing how to talk, like almost manipulating the goalkeeper's thoughts. And encourage, that's go back to what I was saying there, self-coaching, use parents, okay? Let them know we're trying to build this child's mental capacity in regards dealing with failure or anxiety going into games because they made a mistake in the last game. Help them. There's so much information out there, okay? So much information. And trust me, if I can find, anyone can find it, because I have the attention span of a goldfish. So unless it's right in front of me, I'm not going to find it. So there is stuff out there to use for these, okay? And then ask coaching officers for external help. So as we have now in the club is the coaching committee, okay? So I know myself, I know a million different coaches that could come and help, okay? Give workshops. Myself, I'm sure Ollie knows people. I'm sure Yvonne has friends that would have played in goals. Like I know Anna Clarke there. Could she go down and help the underage ladies as well? I'm sure she could. She might have a little bit of a fear in doing it, but just say, can you come up and warm the goalkeeper up before this training session? Or can you help or give her a bit of advice and kickouts? And all of a sudden that coach is roped in, okay? So that's pretty much what we have there. Just thinking about 55 minutes. Is there any questions, or you want to like Stretchy come in there earlier on with a good point? So if any of you have different experiences and stuff that worked for you, like, feel free to share it. So I don't know whether you want to switch on cameras there and have a quick chat, or be interested just to see your views and anything that we went through.
Crouchy.
Yes.
I can tell you about the reason that most of them fellas that you mentioned that played soccer, the reason that they're decent goalkeepers is because they were trained from an earlier age, from 7s, 8s, the whole way up. We would ask anyone that wants to play in goals, we would train them separate, not bring them in training sessions. We would train them separate as goalkeepers, and then bring them into after 40 minutes, or bring them up at 2 different nights. But they would put in the same effort as the players training, but they would train just particularly for goals. And that's
Yeah,
why the
and you know
soccer.
what, Sam? I know myself throughout the years, like the goalkeepers I played with, Neil Gallo, streets ahead of me in ability for a shot stop and a goalkeeper because of that scenario you were speaking about there.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
that's
but what I would consider I'm better than him at would be actual just general GA play.
yeah.
You know, so what you're saying there is 100% right. But as coaches here, I would definitely encourage to mix and match as much as you can, especially up until 16 anyway. Mix and match as best you can. Challenge them different ways. But yeah, you're 100% right.
And as you said there, since I've come to Gaelic, I've watched it. It's normally not all the time, but sometimes it's he's not much use out for you. Put them in goals. So once they're putting goals, they're took off the team. They're not being made feel special. If they're made feel special, they will excel.
100%, 100%. It's confidence,
Yeah.
especially at every age. I know myself. It's every age. There's no point in me telling you it's not. It's every age with confidence. It's the same as everything in life. Like if you're confident, you're on cloud nine. Like you're 10 times a better person than you would be if you're
So
feeling them down in the dumps. It's a classic. It's a classic human race scenario, isn't it?
So with Gaelic, not just so much Gaelic, but they blame goalkeepers all the time. As I would maintain, they have to go buy 14 players before they get to the keeper. And if we don't encourage them and make them feel special, we're really wasting our time. They have to feel they're a goalkeeper, they're going to be looked after different. But it can't be just for 1 or 2 sessions. It has to be for the season. You must look after your keeper all the time. The same way as you look after your players all the time. Your outfield players.
I think the biggest issue for a lot of us would be manpower or woman power when you have 20, 30 kids and you don't have the time to allocate one coach to them. And I agree with you, but I think the position itself has become far more popular with the likes of Cluxon over the last 5 or 10 years. Coaches are realising how important it is, and they're spending a bit more time at it now than they ever did before, I think.
What I would say to Ollie is, for me, that would be a cop-out. But just because you have 40 players or 20 players, we're using that as an excuse. If you have 2 coaches, most soccer teams would only have probably one, the manager or maybe a coach. Most kids that play soccer would be brought up and they would have to appear to the training probably a half an hour before everyone else. So there's no excuse not to train them. But I know it's time consuming, and we're probably looking for excuse.
I'm not saying it's not an excuse not to train them, but I disagree with you there a little bit. If you have 25, 30 kids and you have two coaches, to allocate one of those coaches to one player isn't being fair to the other 25 or 26 kids you have, you know. And it's brilliant here if you have the likes of Crouchy, the likes of Dinger, the likes of Joey as a resource for us as coaches, that we can bring them in and take on 5 or 6 kids at a go. This is fantastic stuff, you know. But I think to focus just on one position is difficult when you have that amount of numbers. Soccer's 11-a-side, don't forget. You know,
yeah, but
involved, you know?
Absolutely, you're talking 11-a-side. Most teams would have 23 players. Most soccer teams would have 23 players in their panel. And the goalkeepers, they would have 2 goalkeepers. Most decent teams would have 2 goalkeepers. And they're trained separate. And then brought into the games if they're into games. So it's doable. It can be done.
Yeah, no question. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But yeah.
And as a
Neil,
club,
you're on mute there.
Sorry?
I'm just saying, Neil, you're on mute. I think Neil was trying to say something there.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just saying that I think that's a challenge to ourselves. Okay, this is only a starting point from point of view of kind of ideas and kind of guidance and so forth. If we can get to that at some stage and challenge ourselves, by the end of the season, we want to have a dedicated coach within the coaching panel of coaches with each team. And that might be that you go back to the coaching committee and say, I need help sourcing somebody to do the coaching. You know, the other side then I would like to put forward is that I'd love like Dinger and Crouchy and anyone that's done goalkeeping have a good fundamental idea about what's a normal warm-up routine, what's a normal kind of kicking session. You know, it comes intuitively to you. Now, I played goals years ago in soccer. I'd have the basic fundamentals, but I'd love a blueprint. Now, I know, as you said, Crouchy, go and get some stuff off YouTube and that, you know. But I'd love a blueprint of a club philosophy. These are the key drills to use. I know Dinger's said it to me a few times. He'd give me a hand there as well. But these are a few drills that you can do. And if we were doing that at key ages, say from 14 upwards, I think it would bring things on, along with, I agree with Sam, have more of a dedicated coach if we can get to there.
Yeah, we have it's something that's in the pipeline. I've done a lot of work on it there for the last number of months. We started in the summer last year. Would be, you know, like the tourist cards that we would have been giving out and we would have been shown. We're just them coming out for goalkeepers. So it's going to be basically exactly what you said there.
Yeah, perfect.
On that, Craig,
the basics that we can give the coaches. So Leinster are doing that.
Craig, I don't know whether you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just the bit of pieces that I thought we didn't. Well, there wasn't said in the likes of Ollie and Joe and all that today and the rest. I don't know who else is on, but what I notice, what I namely do in nearly all senior games is I do umpire to be close to the goalkeeper. Joey will tell you, Joe Gordon will tell you, they'll all tell you. But what I notice that coaches are not copping on to is that abuse is the wrong word. You're shouting that them goalkeepers get from their players, and it's not highlighted from the coaches to tell the players to stop shouting back if the goalkeeper makes a mistake. It's unbelievable the shouting that comes back at them. I've done it myself. I've been in goals. Craig has been in goals. It's not right, and the coaches are not copping onto it. I think an awful lot of coaches need to cop on and have a look at it and tell the players, hey,
something I've done there that in that point with the academy squads would be it was with, could have been actually, maybe it could have been Joey's team. Joey might have even been there, but that scenario where they're shouting back at the goalkeeper. And next session I was taking warm up when I was doing technical skills, they were doing solo and bouncing and the whole lot, and I had warned one of the players, it was a modest voice player, I pulled him aside and go, here look, I'm going to roar and shout at you in the warm up. And he goes, right, whatever. I think he was 15. Just so we knew it was coming, and I said, I'm not actually having to go, I was just trying to prove a point here. So he was doing the solo or something, and he dropped the ball, and I went mental. It just made as much noise as I possibly could, roaring and shouting. What he was saying probably didn't even make sense. Okay? And then I stopped the session, and I said to the team, I didn't actually say it to the player, I said it to the team, I said, what information am I after giving him after that mistake? And you get stupid answers. So you get stupid answers. But basically, the main aim of it was they couldn't tell me what good information I gave that player after the mistake. And then I said to him, well, how did you feel after that mistake? And me shouted and he goes, well, like, yeah, you frightened me, you panicked me. And I go, exactly. Okay, so I then turned to the whole team and said, can you explain to me why you're roaring and shouting at somebody who just made a mistake? Because first of all, whatever you're shouting at them is going over their head. Secondly, you're after pressuring them, you're frightening them, and you can be sure there's another mistake coming, all because you are a mouthpiece shouting back at someone. Okay, put the shoes on your other feet. Okay, if that's you in that scenario, okay, do you want me shouting at you? Okay, and that might not work straight away, but then it's the same as everything you do. You're planting the seed, and if that works with 2 out of the 30 players that were there that day, well then it's an improvement of what was there already. Like, but if I had just gone to the player there, it would, you know what I mean, I probably would have heard back from the parent, but the way I felt dealing with it would have been the next day. This is, you know, the rest of the team, and I think it did work. I don't know whether Joey was there. I don't know which team it was. It's either Joey's team or Callow's minor team, but that was just the way I thought of it.
I just think some of the coaches don't realise it because they're so intense in the game, you know.
It's done for so long that it's probably just not picked up on.
It's a bit like abusing the ref, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, that's just happened. It's just built into us now at this stage, isn't it? It's very hard to get out.
No, it has to change. It has to change. You're right.
Change happens, yeah.
You wouldn't give out to younger.
When I started playing football, Craig, if you started giving out to any of your teammates, you're a substitute.
Yeah.
So first person does it, they're off, and all of a sudden they realise, well, that's not helping the team by having a player off we want on the pitch. So then everybody sort of buttons it and plays the game. And if you set that rule down, then everybody buys into it.
Yeah.
Nobody makes a mistake on purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Up, lads. This is that we're gonna go through.
So look, I just want to come back to Sam's point and about you have to coach the goalie in training and like I give them specific time. Which, by the way, I do agree with. I'm just saying that when numbers, we're supposed to have 8 kids per coach. Technically, we don't ever have that. We always have less. So, like, obviously we should. But like in training sessions that you're designing up there, Crouchy, would you ever have included, oh yeah, and for this part, this is specific for the goalie?
Not
underage and that.
Not in particular, but I've something I would have done with Niall last year, I think it was, where I've said to him, like, there's no reason why 5 or 10 minutes of your session, your whole session, could not be based around a goalkeeper activity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that could be groups of 2 up along the sideline, 20, 30 metres apart, and they're pinging balls off the cone, which are fun activities. Jesus, who wouldn't want to do it? And you're also working on your high catch. You know what I mean? There's no reason why that can't take 5 minutes of your session at the end or the start or in the middle. Okay, it could be a recovery exercise. You know, you could sell it as a high catch, but it's also to kick out off the ground. You could do it that, like, there's so many, I can't try and think off the top of my head, like there could be fitness and footwork stuff that you could do that could benefit a goalkeeper and an outfield player. Like, ultimately, a goalkeeper and an outfield player in Gaelic, they're quite similar. Now, there's that obviously specialised stuff a goalkeeper's going to do that, and an outfielder can't. But like a high percentage of the stuff, like you could have, I know I've done it before with a team where you have groups of 2, you have a diamond made on the sideline, all along the sideline. So each pair has a diamond, and the diamond is coloured at different colours at each point of the diamond. Say they're in the middle, you could call red, blue, yellow. So to shuffle the red across the blue, back the yellow, and then they might have to sprint forward 10 yards. Okay, that's footwork. Okay, and it benefits a goalkeeper and benefits an outfielder. So I think you just have to be creative. You know what I mean? If you can give a goalkeeper 5 or 10 minutes every session compared to nothing at all, these are all like small improvements. You know, like obviously, like Dad and Joey and myself and that, like, we can come up hopefully regularly enough that they do get specialised stuff. But there's no reason coaches can't be creative in how they coach the team, but can benefit everybody.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Just on that as well, is one of the problems that most teams really only have one keeper. I mean, in training, so you have one player that you have to designate time to. Would it not be an idea, maybe the fact that even the juvenile now has gone only from 17 down, that there can't be a time during the week? The fact that we have goalkeeping coaches within the club is that you're getting 6, 7, 8 keepers together on a night for an hour and a half, whatever it is, and just designate a slot. I know some teams then might be whatever keeper for a training session during that week, but surely it's going to benefit
100%.
everyone, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it'd probably benefit Dad and Joey a bit more if it was just an hour or whatever amount of time they're willing to give on one particular night every week.
We done a Craig one night, didn't we? We had about 20 people up, wasn't it?
20. It was actually for
myself and your man Tamardi.
Yeah, I think we left it out to South Loud and East Loud or something like that, where a load of clubs sent goalkeepers over. You know, and they will turn up if it's there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I suppose, Ollie, that's something we can chase down with the club to make sure Dad and Joey has their own equipment. You know what I mean? There's no my dad turning up with a bag of my size 5s and he's coaching the under 14 goalkeeper. Like, Dad won't have size 4s. Like,
No, that's I see.
You'll get
List of gear, yeah.
you get. I think you get lads to buy into a lot more because it's actually like a designated time slot for them in the position that it's not just an afterthought in training.
yeah.
And plus, as Gaelic coaches, I don't think we're not as strong on the goalkeeping coaching as the soccer coach would be, or a fellow with a soccer background. Nowhere near it, you know.
Yeah.
But so I'm just thinking now, obviously, selfishly, my own scenario. So we have whatever 25, 28 kids at training most nights for under 12. Would you see Joey or Dinger or yourself coming down for the session and maybe taking 5 of them for 5 or 20 minutes apiece, or how would you see that working in that sort of with that sort of numbers? First of all, we don't have a goalie designated because we're always changing the goalies, right? And we try and change the positions of the players all the time as well. So we don't really we're trying to develop footballers, not fellas with positions. They're young enough yet to experience all the positions. So how would you see that working? Would you take 5 to one side or 10 to one side of the goal or something? I don't know. I'm just curious to see what you think.
You could do that. But see, if you, and I know it will happen if I went to your team, Ollie, and I started taking players out and say, right, we're going to do a bit of goalkeeping coaching here, and they say, I don't want to do it. Do you know what I mean? Or if I was the quiet child that doesn't say I don't want to do it, and then all of a sudden Mammy rings and say, well, why is he in goals? Why is he doing goalkeeping training? You know, like, these things will arise. Like, it might only happen once, but it is something I suppose you could do, and trial and error kind of scenario. But you have to remember as well, we as coaches of the club, we develop players to get them to the senior team, and if we can bring 5 or 6 through every year to the senior team, we're really successful. You might only have to bring a goalkeeper through once every 5 years, like, or once every 6 years. To know that kind of way. So let's say, for instance, like between myself and Joe Gordon, right? I know Jamie. I class Jamie as the same as me. Like, so me and Jamie come through at the same time, and then there's nothing between our age and Joe Gordon at 18. Okay, but were we in trouble? No, because we had a goalkeeper. Like, so you don't have to bring through goalkeepers every year. You know, so I wouldn't consider your scenario, Ollie, as a problem.
But that's the same Craig is saying. You don't need to bring Sam Mulroy through every year. If you can bring a player better than Sam Mulroy, well, would that not put pressure on him?
Oh, of course it would, yeah. Of course it would. So, but I would be saying I wouldn't be massively worried if Ollie's team didn't have a goalkeeper yet. It's not like a huge problem.
Yeah. I'm not worried one bit about it, Crouchy, but like I would like there's 1 or 2 kids that are exceptional in goals, but there's no way I'm going to play them in goals all the time, because that's not doing them any good, and it's definitely not doing their development any good. They might well become goalies, but I'd like to give everyone an opportunity to play in goals. And get a bit of an understanding of it. Something that might really take to it. You just don't know unless you give them a shot at it, you know. And that's why I'm saying, when you were on about the parents saying, why was my kid in goals? That's why I think every one of the kids should be given an opportunity to be coached by the goalie coach, not just 4 or 5 of them, you know, especially at that age.
Like, you could do a 15-minute training up in it, just to break them into the basics of the goalkeepers.
Yeah, well, up until 14, you can just run your training at stations as such. So, like, there's a technical station, there's a tactical station, there's a goalie station, and you just rotate the players through it. That they're doing 15 minutes an hour, and like, so that just comes with preparing your sessions and making sure basically you're organised and you know what you're doing.
So, how often can we get a goalie coach in? Like, every
anytime
session?
Anytime you want, Ollie.
Brilliant. You've this recorded, haven't you, Crouch?
Yeah.
No.
Unless he's up with the minors.
So we're training every Monday night. I want you up there, 7 o'clock on a Monday.
So, do we really need to do goalkeeping coaching underage up, or we start at 14 on? If you're going to rotate the players, well then why would you do goalkeeping coaching on the 8s, 9s, 10s, and 11s if you're going to rotate the players?
Would you
I'd
rotate
probably do something on Ollie going. I personally, especially if you're limited to what you can offer them, I'd be going more specialised at 14 on and going your way between rotation.
No, I agree. I wouldn't do it every week, but I would definitely, if it's a resource that's there, I want to be using it. So once a month at least, if not once every 2 weeks, you have 15 minutes. The kids be doing something to do goalies. It's going to develop them as footballers.
So, Ollie, with your team, do you rotate the goalkeeper every week, every game?
Generally, you would, yeah, because. Like they play in goals, they play defence, they play midfield, they play.
Oh no, attack. I'm not. What I'm saying is about even the outfield players. I know you rotate them and put them in different positions because they should. I agree with you. They shouldn't have a position, and just because their brother played left full doesn't mean they have to play left full. They should be able to discover their own position. So what you're telling me is, you rotate the goalkeeper every game.
We'd have had 5, 10, 15 lads playing in goals last year, I would say. At different stages,
That's unbelievable.
Some fellas put their hand up. Sometimes we ask them, say, "Does anybody want to go in goals?" Go, "Yeah, I want to go in goals." Okay, well, you try goals for this half.
That's fair play to us. That's brilliant.
It is impressive, yeah.
In my opinion, that's a way out there. That's brilliant. If you can do that and everyone is happy, brilliant job.
Some lads aren't always happy about going in goals. But at the same time, no, I think it's only fair. Like the same, everyone wants to play midfield when they're young fella, or everyone wants to play in the forwards. But I think it's only fair if you try and rotate them and keep an eye on it that way, Like as I said, look, the biggest thing that I got out of Mickey Hart's book years ago was you're developing a footballer, not a position, And that I don't see how you can do that unless they give them experience in every position.
Yeah. I think, lads, just going out of this, I think the best possible way to go about it is in peak season, you have a designated time of the week that goalkeepers can come to the two lads, and get their specialised training. And then if coaches afterwards want to organise with them for separate sessions whenever, brilliant. I think probably practically is the best possible way to go. Because I know if dad's working and the designated night is Monday night at 7 o'clock and he knows a week in advance that he can't be there, I know then Monday 7 is the nights that these things are on. It's not chop change, a week goes by where no one asks him to do anything, or 2 weeks go by where he's not with any goalkeeper. It's a Monday night and everybody knows then. Realistically, you're only going to have, would you have 6 that turn up on the Monday night? How many goalkeepers do we have from, let's say, 12 up?
Would you be doing that for the ladies as well?
About to say that, yeah.
Yeah. I think it would. I don't think that, Sam probably know better than I would, but I don't know whether there is many goalkeepers with ladies. I know there's definitely one of them, or was it 16? But I don't think there's that many players in the club that will say now underage that I'm a goalkeeper, I want to go to that. You might get a few, but as we've seen in the slides earlier on, majority of them don't fully understand their goalkeeper until they're 16, 18.
Yeah.
Joe Whelan's probably the only one underage that is saying I'm definitely a goalkeeper.
Yeah, fair play.
So it's something to think about anyway. And then guys, use the WhatsApp as well, just to keep everything flowing and moving and bouncing ideas off people, because this is there's no point me saying this is what we're going to do if people don't want to do it, or if the boys aren't available to do it. So, but at the same time, we still do have to come to an answer and a decision.
It's a step in the right direction. But we're getting out there. You're getting it right. We're beginning to treat the goalkeepers as players, and we're going to look after them a lot better than we have been looking after them.
No,
that's a step. That's a step in the right direction, and it's a win-win situation for everyone. Thank you very much, Craig. Excellent tonight.
Good stuff, boys. Good stuff.
All the best.
Thanks, Prochi.
Take care, boys. Time to go for dinner.
Super.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.
See you later.
Thank you.
Tinger, you're going to be on speed.